6:00.
This is an addition, this was the one.
Thing has started.
That's what,
We're showing the silk fence that I forgot.
So let's call this meeting of the planning board to order. Quorum check. Joy in the room, we have Chris, Frank. Or no. Bill. Frank is not here. Frank told me he was gonna be here, but he's not here. Bill, Chris. I know, sorry. Bill, Chris. Craig, John and I are in the room. Oh, here's Frank. And Frank is here. I don't see Brad online, but he said he likely would not be able to join tonight, so.
So I think you said 6. There's 6 of you in the room.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So we do have a quorum in the room. That's good. Let me just check here really quick. Yeah, Craig. Okay, good. All right, public comment period for items not on the agenda. Are there any comments from the public which are not on tonight's agenda? You guys are on the agenda. You guys are on the agenda. Not seeing anything online. Hearing none, let's move on. So first thing up is 380 Freeville Road. This is a sketch plan review with Seeker. And go ahead.
do I begin?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, good evening,
Yeah.
and thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Helen Ewings, and I'm the Executive Director of the William George Agency for Children's Services, and we've been there so long, I don't think I have to go into too much detail about our mission. But we're here to present a sketch plan for a family visitation center. As many of you know, we take children from throughout upstate New York. And sometimes it's unsafe for them to go home, so we have to provide a family, we don't have to, we choose to provide a family visitation center to help to build a family, strengthen family relationships, have a more natural environment than meeting in an office, right? And our goal is to present this building so they can have more natural relationships with families as they try to heal and move towards family reunification, which is our goal. So. And
Mentioned.
Do you want to bring things up on the screen?
so, the youth we serve are 12 to mostly 17 and 18 years old. And we have approximately currently about 110 youth. We serve about 140 youth a year, 140 to 150, based on, the length of stay. Children come and go after somewhere between 6 and 12 months, depending on their needs. And I do want to say, sometimes youth act out in the community, right? But when you look at the number of youth that we serve, less than 1% actually, have a negative impact on the community occasionally. I don't have to reiterate, right? You all know what may happen. They'll, act out in the community. But I'd like to concentrate on the 99%, and believe me, that's not an inflated number, that are very grateful for the services that we provide in the state. We're recognized as one of the top residential treatment centers in the state. And we have a Raise the Age program that is recognized as the most utilized, successful program in the state. And we provide these youth the opportunity for vocational opportunities, as well as, very intensive therapeutic programming. A lot of the youth that come to us, as you know, have been highly traumatized. And we help them heal and get on a path where they can be productive members of the communities that they return to.
So, okay, I'm Tom Schickel, was Schickel Architecture. I'm the architect for the site and the foundations and that sort of thing. This is a modular building, so it's being, actual architect is related to the modular building company, Apex. Just a couple of points I want to make, is that although we are here technically for site, for sketch plan review, it's our sincere hope in terms of our schedule that we will be able to get a waiver on site plan review so we can proceed with the project. The schedule that I included in the package shows a completion date based on the presumption, and it is presumptuous, I realize, that we would get site plan approval or a waiver tonight that would complete the project for occupancy at the end of October. If we have to go out another month, maybe more, it really jeopardizes the project because the premise of the project in terms of their budgeting, and I don't know if you want to talk about, there's a single donor. And so
about a year ago, April, we were the recipient of a donor. It was a request, and the trustee is 87. And he told me that he gave us 6 projects to complete, and I had to complete them in a year. So April, May, right? We built our pavilion. We put in a state-of-the-art automotive vocational program for youth. We've expanded our heavy equipment program. I mean, there was some very large projects that we've done, and this is the final project, right? So I'm already about April, May till October behind schedule. And I think the reason he wanted to, he felt personally responsible to ensure the funds were invested as the benefactor wanted them, because they told us what projects they wanted. We didn't select the projects. And I think given his age, he's been pushing me with every project to complete it, because I guess he doesn't feel like, life is a gift, right? For all of us, right? But when you're 87, I think you feel it a little bit
they don't
seeing than others.
want to lose the funding.
Yeah, so, and to lose the funding if we don't complete it.
Yeah.
So,
So the other thing I want to add is that a lot of the work on site is going to be done by tradesmen that are permanent employees of the William George Agency. And what happens is, as winter comes on, they have more and more other obligations to do. So it really begins to compete. So potentially, this is theoretical, but they would have to hire outside things, the costs go up, so I mean, the premise of this is that it's, that we've really tried to keep the cost down to a minimum, and that's what we're hoping to do. And of course, they want it so that families can come and visit their kids. I wouldn't want to be a 12-year-old kid away from my family for 18 months, so.
12 months most.
Okay.
But still, it's a long period of time.
So then.
Wait, can I?
Yeah.
That up, I just want to say, but we do bring children home on weekends, right? We put over a million miles a year on our 80 vehicles, transporting kids home at least twice a month. So we do put a tremendous amount of time in family reunification and strengthening the family counseling. We have regional family workers that provide counseling to families to help support that reunification at the end of treatment. So it is maximum typically is 12 months, only under very rare circumstances where there are no discharges, no one wants the child, and the state has no place to put them, which is rare, that we do keep them longer.
Yeah.
Just wanted that clarification.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So let's go through the plan.
Okay, so this is the front elevation, there's not too much, there's a front porch, there'll be there's an emergency exit out on the left side that's handicap accessible, that will have a landing and a ramp. And then on the right side, there's a deck, it's a 12 by 38 deck. And so it's a two-story building with roughly, it's 38 by 68, 10 and a half. So I think it's about a little over 5,200 square feet. And then there'll be a full basement. Okay, so and right now the basement is just planned for storage, but we're sort of going to do it in a way that it could be used at a low level for certain things. Okay, go ahead.
These slides are all individual, so there might be why.
What's that?
Slides individuals.
Who's running the slide?
She is.
Gina? Okay. So. I can just mention she's getting that. When I met with the staff about two. Ooh, these are terrible. Okay, well, that's a picture, supposed to be a picture of the entire campus. And they have, I think, about 43 buildings on the entire campus. So on the main site that you see wrapped in the blue dashed line, which follows the center line of the road, that's sort of the bulk of the campus and the family visitation center. On the left-hand side of the road, which is a different parcel, there are other buildings, a lot of the service buildings. Okay. So, and this is located near the administration building, near the chapel, and near the new pavilion. And there's a large existing parking lot that's very underused. It's to the south of a parking lot for the school, which is very underused. I mean, there's always oceans of parking there. And so I don't think it's going to impose any burden on the parking at all. I know you're allowing for 23 spaces. It would be rare that you would have 23 people parking to come to this facility. So, but that's based on 250 square feet per.
Remind me how many meeting rooms there are in here?
What's that?
How many meeting rooms?
There are 9 family rooms, and there's a cafe. I would mention that there's no ranges in the building, so it's just microwaves, refrigerators, and sinks. And so each of the 9 meeting rooms would have a small kitchenette. And the idea is that, the family can come and bring some home cooking for their child and stuff like that. So and then they have the cafe area, which would be both for the families, but also for staff could have meetings there and stuff like that. And then there's a resource room there.
So even if every room was full and each family brought 2 cars, you're only talking 18 cars total.
That's right. Yeah. Now there's some staff there, but but a lot of staff may walk from other buildings and stuff. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I think there's 43 buildings on campus. Yeah. So, okay. Gina? Yeah.
Next slide.
Yeah. And the campus has its own water system, or is it unbuilt?
Yeah, it has 3 wells, and they're noted on the site plan. two are across the street.
Yeah.
Over by the old carpenter shop, and one is a big well that provides most of the water, and then another is sort of a supplementary well, and they go into the same pump house. And then there's another one over by Stralem Cottage, which is kind of fairly far out. And then they have I forget, I think it's a 70,000 gallon water tank up on the hill that gives, they pump water up there and then it gives it the pressure.
The idea here is to tie it into the existing.
Oh, yeah,
Out to drill another
yeah,
well.
yeah,
It's tie it into the
absolutely.
existing-
Yeah, we're gonna connect to the water over by the lower story.
But it'll have
That's,
its,
that's shown on the ground disturbance plan.
got it.
The line going over there, okay, so it's hard to see dimensions and stuff like that, but basically. We went
I was
backwards.
trying to enlarge it for you there.
Yeah, there, okay, good. So all of the asphalt pavement, I guess I'm not allowed to walk over and point, I'm used to. All of the asphalt pavement is there, okay, so I just want everybody to understand that. This is a very small project, really, it's like a house. And probably this disturbance is less than a lot of houses because we don't have a driveway, we don't have, parking and stuff like that. So we're showing the accessible space and the drop-off space. That is actually on existing asphalt, the hatched out area to slow down traffic. There's very little traffic through there. There's the only traffic that goes over to the William George House, which is the old, the old house where the executive director used to live. So, oh, good, yeah. So did anybody go over to the site and look at it? Because it's staked out, but the stakes it's actually going to be a little farther back, about 10 feet farther back than the stakes and rotated a little. But it would give you a pretty good idea. So we're 37 feet back from the asphalt at where the walkway goes in, it's about 40 feet back. And then you can see the deck on the right, the front porch, the ramp, and that sort of thing. And then the chapel is right down on the page, right there, and then the pavilion is behind the chapel. So it's a nice little cluster of buildings there. Okay, these are yeah. Go ahead for the picture, Gina. Yeah, then there's an existing, that just showed the existing light pole. There's a light pole, it's got lights going in three directions, out and across. Okay, so that's an incredible view. Looking, so you see the pond, the trees on the island in the pond, and then the farm fields in the background and stuff going there. So, and those are actually that's a farm that the William George Agency operates or leases out, I'm not sure. Okay, go ahead. Gina, yeah. Okay, and then that, by the way, that was the view from the deck. This is the view if you're standing on the front porch, you turn around, you look back out, you'd see the little chapel, which I've always loved, and then the view out. And so I spent a lot of time in that chapel when I was a boy. So, okay. And then again, go on, Gina. Yeah. Gotta lift it up a little.
Yeah.
And then this is a view just looking back toward the pond. I mean, it's a quite large pond. And then in the beyond, with the white roof, that's the Ewald dining hall. And then to the left is Boskowitz, the gym, where they have a gym and a pool, stuff like that. The gym, auxiliary gym, it's just 100% athletic facility. And then go ahead. Gotta shrink it a little. Just raise it up. Okay, but I don't know if people have had a chance to read the plan for landscaping. What we're doing, and I'll show on the next slide, you'll see the greenhouse. They recently built a beautiful greenhouse is it replacing or supplementing the other greenhouse? Supplementing the other greenhouse. So so they have this horticulture program, and so the idea was that wouldn't it be nice to, so we're proposing 4 boxwoods to just soften up the front a little bit. We don't, number one, we don't want, massive amount of landscaping because we want to keep the view open to the pond. That's like this beautiful lawn there. It's really spectacular. So, but at the same time, we do want to have more planting. But the idea is that the staff would work with the kids to, install plants. The parents come, they show their parents, their brothers and sisters, the plants they planted, and, it's a real point of pride that they can point to. So anyway.
They currently actually do that for the cottages they reside in. A lot of times they do a lot of the landscaping and flowers with the same intent.
Yeah, okay. So, and the boxwoods are just right in front. And so that's the idea, and then it would be organic. And I mentioned that, basically for the most part, the staff and the residents for 135 years have been doing the landscaping. So, okay. Go ahead, Gina. There's the greenhouse. It's on the other side of the street along, you see it from 38. That's the new one. It's a pretty big one. Go ahead, Gina. Now you can go to the next slide. Okay, this is just the contours of the existing. I just want to create it. Could
Scroll down a little.
move it up a little. Yeah, okay, good. So you can see the pond on the right. It labels it. No, it's too far. You're on the last or the second to last slide now.
Is where we want to be?
I think this one's fine. It shows.
We'll stop here. Okay, so this is the existing, we're just showing basically it's dropping about, let's see, 16, about 17 feet from the top down to the pond. And that's not 2 ponds, it's 1 pond. It just is, a part of it is hidden. And so that gives you that beautiful lawn, and that's what we're trying to capture here. Okay, go ahead. Nope.
There. That's it.
Then who's the building with the, with the contours and stuff? And this also shows the, how do we get all the way back here?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, stop right there. No, next one.
There you go. Because this one shows where the water lines
What's
go.
that, ground disturbance? So you can see the sanitary on here. So the sanitary, we've got a septic tank, sand filter, and then a DMAT, which is kind of an interesting concept where they put the topsoil that they strip from the building, they take it over, put it on top of that, and then that forms a final filtration for the water. And it's not so much filtration, the filtration is in the sand filter, but infiltration into the ground before, so it doesn't go directly into the pond. Because the ground, this Rhinebeck soils just doesn't let, there's just clay and it doesn't let water go in. Okay, I think we can go on.
Well, while you're on this one, it's also showing the trench for the, it looks like you got water and communications and
Yeah.
all that other stuff.
Yeah, they're going north
Yep.
to the lower school.
Yep.
And then to the south, it kind of wraps around from the back of the building. You can see the diagonal slash between the pavilion and the chapel. And that's the electric. And there's an existing pole there that was put in quite recently for the pavilion and to upgrade the service at the chapel, and that's there.
But over to the pole is gonna be underground?
Yeah, all those utilities are underground, correct, yeah, all of them, yeah. Okay, next. Gina, okay, so this is the ground disturbance, which adds up to 4/10 of an acre. I guess, there's a lot of ground disturbance in the DMAT, but it's really just they scarify the ground a little and then they put the topsoil on top, so it's not, it's pretty minimal ground disturbance, but anyway, we counted it. So but the 4/10 of an acre counts all the way out, all the trenches and everything, so it captures the whole thing. Okay. And I think that's
about it, yeah.
Oh, and then the silt fences, I had forgotten the silt fences on the initial submittal, so I included them here, and I have a handout I can give you that has the silt fences. I also just wanna, I have a handout with the building envelope calculation that was done by Apex. This is not the stamped by an engineer. This is not the final one because they've made a few adjustments and they'll be probably getting that out next week. But the building envelope is 13% better than code. The lighting, which is LED interior lighting, is 74% better than code. At the staff had asked me about, kind of what and then also the heating will be heat pumps, and so there's no gas in the building. It'll be all electric. What was I going to say? I guess that there was a point I was going to make. I spoke with Larry just to brief myself for the meeting. He's been the director of facilities for many years. And he was telling me that they have done all manner of NYSERDA projects on buildings all over the campus. They have a swimming pool. They just recently replaced the heater in the swimming pool. It's much more efficient. They've replaced boilers. They've done insulation.
Heat and
Yeah,
air conditioning,
yeah.
that was just recently installed too.
Yeah. So they've been sort of ongoing. They've been doing tons of projects, energy projects. So okay.
All right.
And I think that's about it. So we're hoping for approval. Let me just hand these out.
Thank you, Ray, go ahead.
I mean, it's my project. Many questions. The only thing that noticed in the plan that your ADA grant seemed to be not affected by a date tax. Or that is question in front later. Grants on the side.
It's not, so you'd have to go across the grass to get to the ADA ramp.
I mean,
It's just one thing I'd take into consideration. If you're in a wheelchair, it might be hard.
okay. I mean, we can take a look at that.
That's what's the issue. Okay, is there anything you guys want to add?
We have not received the GML 239 response from the county yet.
That mean, you want to
They
approve?
haven't received something.
We do.
From the county, I think.
Unless you wanted to give the commission upon nothing coming up in 239. If they had any comment, they would come back. No, reconsider.
It'd be nice if they didn't have to come back. Go ahead.
I actually have a question for Ray. So Ray, I know the law's changed a little bit about school districts and have town having reach on their properties. How does this, how are we, I mean, I thought now the new law, I think the court said you can do a small site plan review, a limited site plan review on.
Yeah, Trevor, it has been over the years. Moving to, this state department's education has taken complete purview over
Right.
this, but they are coming to us with a voluntary review. And so I see that it's outside of the direct educational buildings. Those that are, involved in academics. So I think it's appropriate for us to be reviewing it. We did it for the recent 24-unit bed group.
Yeah, we did one for the, I remember for the bed.
They've
Yeah.
done it twice in the last 6 years. So this would be the third time.
I'm just wondering, what's the difference? Why are we reviewing this then? You think it's because of the not educated?
Outside of the strict academic.
Okay, okay. That clarifies that.
Other questions?
Signage, any additional signage?
What's it?
Any additional signage
Yeah,
on Freeville Road?
Oh, on Freeville Road?
Yeah, something you'd see on the main road.
Yeah,
on Freeville Road, you're not gonna have signage.
no, not on Freeville. Road.
Yeah,
On
it
Freeville.
would just be on the campus
So you might have a directional sign as people come in the driveway.
Yeah. Yeah,
But it'll be
yeah,
active.
yeah, yeah, but they wouldn't put a sign
Yeah,
out.
no signage that would come under our sign or.
They have the existing sign, says William George Agency and Georgia Republic Union Free School District.
And all this asphalt is already there, so fire access I don't think fire access is an issue because it's gonna be the same as the other buildings around it.
I'm sorry, Tony.
I'm thinking about fire access, but looks like there's plenty of room for
Fire access.
fire trucks.
For fire, yeah, because we've got the driveway in by the chapel and that.
There's that other gate that can be opened, there's that other driveway where the gate can. be
You've got that and when the fire truck, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it, but there's no lock on that right now.
Yeah.
But the fire truck, I think they may have removed it, but I don't know. But there's, the fire trucks can turn around. At the end of the parking lot is huge, so they actually have plenty of room to turn around down there. So.
They actually recently did training in that area.
Yeah,
By the
yeah,
pond.
yeah,
They
yeah.
used property.
yeah.
To do some training.
So even without the driveway by the chapel, they would be able to turn around and exit, so,
All right, other questions, go ahead.
I certainly appreciate you wanting to use the available money and take advantage of that while it's there. Were there any facilities for parents prior to this building?
Yeah, actually, there were, but it wasn't ideal. We have our administration building because most of the family visitation occurs on weekends. And we have 2 conference rooms. They seat maybe 8 or 10 people at the table. And then the families would have to kind of just sit there each, for visitation.
Yep.
So it wasn't really conducive to creating a more home-like environment to consume, to facilitate, trying to heal and create a more home-like environment where they'll be engaging when they discharge, right?
Right, and you only had 2, right?
And we only had 2,
Right.
correct?
Oh.
I mean, in these rooms, they're gonna have a couch, they're gonna have, games and TV and stuff, so it's more like a living, like a little. Yeah.
Because they like to bring, food prepared.
Are you considered a religious based organization?
No.
Christian? No?
No,
Okay, they're just
No.
based on the
No.
chapel.
no, we have chapel and we actually just finished renovating that as well. But, you know, we can have, we don't have the manpower to drive individual children to various services, whatever that may be. So our goal is to utilize the chapel that was just completed. It's not even 100%, but it's 90% there. So that we can have various religious service if the youth chooses.
That's great.
But we want to have them have that option if they choose it.
Just one more question for you, Helen. In your opening statement, you said you take children from all over New York State.
Correct.
Is it like an ICE operation? You go in mass and you take them or accept children from all over?
Yeah, believe it or not, this past year, we received over 1,000 referrals. That's how great the need is. And we probably took about 140 youth into our treatment center. So there is a tremendous need and our program is highly sought after because they feel it's successful.
My question was very tongue in cheek, just saying
I
that.
know.
Go ahead.
Nobody else?
Great.
So you talked about the street light on the corner, lighting up the pathways. You talked about the street light on the corner, the three-way. What about lighting on the building itself?
There's, well, there'll be porch lights and then there will be, you can see it in the elevations. There are some spotlights here. And I know you don't like spotlights, but you know, this is it's, you know, it's not a prison, but they need lighting
Will they
and
be on all the time?
so. But it doesn't, you know, you realize that it doesn't shine on other people's property and there isn't anybody else's property anywhere near this. So I think it complies with the, you know, on a technical basis, it complies with that. But that would, you know, get sort of light the area around the building. And, you know, they can spot them differently so that they're sort of pointed a little
They're
bit.
pointed down, right? They're gonna be high on the building, pointed down.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have to, you know, go way out, but it's a, you know, honestly, it's kind of a low cost way to get some light out there, you know. And so.
Other questions or concerns? So we need to do seeker next, right? Should do seeker before we try to do approval. And can we do an approval contingent on the 239 review?
Yeah, as long as there's no, if anything comes in for that they want considered.
Then we'd have to then we'd have to come back to it next month, right? Okay. All right, so we're gonna do seeker, unless anybody has any objection to that, doing now, okay? This is kind of a really boring process, but fortunately, this is the short form, so it's pretty quick. Will the proposed action create material conflict with adopted land use or zoning regulations? No. Will the proposed action result in change in use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Nope. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? Really small. Will the proposed, right? Nobody has them. Will the proposed action cause increases in the use of energy? And it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies? Small. Will the public or private wastewater treatment utilities? Small again. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architecture, or other aesthetic resources? No, but that chapel's a historic building, right?
It's not a listed building.
Yeah.
And these no's were. That
Generated.
But yeah, that was auto generated,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but I can tell you, we had actually looked a year ago at putting the building across the street, and we did some research for a grant we were applying for at the time. And somebody had sort of begun the application, but never, you know, a lot of graduate students at Cornell and Preservation Planning started these things and never finished. And
I got you.
so it looks like that's what happened, so we're in luck.
Well,
They're doing a beautiful job with renovating the building, so, no, give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. Will the proposed action result in any adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora and fauna? No.
No,
Will the proposed action result in increase of potential erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
Nope.
Nope. The proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No. All right, so I will move, I would move for a negative declaration of seeker.
Second.
Okay. Any other conversation on seeker? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, it's unanimous, Joy. Okay, so seeker's done. I would like to move that we approve approve the sketch plan with the standard conditions contingent on the county 239 review. And waive further site plan review.
I would like to add that it complies with chapter 11 of the building code, that there's a stable path to the ADA ramp. Because that is, if you have people coming public and it be occupancy, you should have a path to that ramp. It doesn't have to be paved, but some way, you don't want to be going across grass, that's all. So,
yeah, I see the path up the front door.
but the ramp is around the corner.
Yeah.
Is the front porch gonna be ramped?
What's that?
Is the front porch gonna be ramped?
Well, there's gonna be a slope, it'll be about a 1 in 25 slope, which is not.
To the front door, so
It doesn't become a ramp until it's steep.
So-
1 in
Right.
the ramp on the side is from the emergency exit. right?
It's an emergency.
Got it.
It's an egress.
So-
It's an egress, it's not it's
So the front is accessible then.
right.
I misunderstood that. I'm sorry.
So,
Yeah, what is it?
yeah,
Right. And we have exits out onto the deck as well.
right.
My mistake. I thought that was actually a taller
Got
front
it.
porch, so.
Okay,
I mean, but, you know, we'll have some way, you know, that somebody doesn't get stranded there, but, you know, as far as I know, it doesn't need to be.
No, secondary, I just thought it was the main, my apologies.
so
Can I just say, we're trying to discourage people from. You know, using it as a main entrance or an alternate entrance, that's the idea, yeah.
all right. So that the motion was to approve the sketch plan review, waive further site plan review contingent on the county 239. Now, what'll happen is we don't have the county 239 back. So if the county comes back with comments on something they want to change, then we'll have to come back to this next month. But assuming that the county 239 review is okay, then you'll have your approval.
Right, but it's not like the county review isn't likely to upset the whole apple cart, so we can't
I don't think so. No.
proceed. The other question I have is, can't you right now with a super majority just waive the county review?
We don't know what
No.
we're waiting.
We can't waive the county 239.
Don't not waive it, but just, you can't preemptively waive what their determination is. Okay.
I'll tell you what we can do maybe is that if it comes in before the 7th and there's a change, we'll have a quorum on the 7th.
Oh, right, we could, so we have it, well, we may not have that meeting, right? We gotta talk about that.
Yeah,
We might.
I'm not too nervous about it.
Right.
You know.
I don't think the county 239 review will come back with anything, but if it does, then we'll have to revisit this. But but what we're doing is we're approving this. We really should wait for the county 239 review, but we're trying to make it so you don't have to come back.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. you know, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But we can't just waive the county 239 review, unfortunately.
Right.
Or vote on nothing.
Right, okay, so any other comments or anything on that? Okay, so I moved it, John seconded it, all in favor? Okay, that's unanimous too. Okay, so assuming the 239 comes back okay, then you're good to go.
First of all, thank you all.
Yeah.
And second, how long does it take to get a 239 back? Is there any?
30 days from the day of submission and we submitted it for you on the 14th.
Of July. Okay, so by the 14th of August, we should get a response.
So
Thank you.
just so I understand, we won't actually be able to get a building permit until then, correct?
That's right,
Yeah,
that's right.
14th is
14th.
your deadline.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that right?
Can,
Yes.
can we call you, Gina? Is
Sure.
that right? On that date and see if you received anything?
Contact her sooner, you'll let them know, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, thank you all. Really appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time. We're really excited.
Yeah.
This
This looks like a good plot.
It's a great, I think it's a great project. I wanted it for a few years, so I'm glad we got a benefactor.
Good, thank you.
Thank you
very
all.
much. Did somebody miss getting a handout over there? I think so.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on the agenda, thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much.
Next on the agenda, we have the PUD at Cardinal Drive. This is the second time we'll have seen this, and I think we're just gonna have them take us through there's some new drawings, right? And they have some right here. Which I will pass along.
Yeah.
Oh, is there two different sets? Oh, it's just the same thing. Yes, yes. Yeah, that's what we got emailed to us, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same as those email. I brought hard copies for y'all. Hello again. I'm Larry Fabroni Jr. I'm the project planner and architect. Larry Fabroni Senior, related, project engineer, and Joe Lovejoy, the applicant. So, thanks for having us again. We met back in December. And went through some really preliminary concepts. And I think, we left that meeting feeling like there's a lot of interest in the type of project we were proposing. And I think from that, we felt comfortable. At that time, we were talking about sort of trying to advance a subdivision plan that could then be approved as a PUD later on. And I think we felt comfortable leaving there and encouraged by you all to just pursue the PUD plan. And so that's what we've come back with, submitted the application for, and wanted to present you some updates to the plan and get some feedback before we kind of run too far, further, and a few items in particular to sort of that we'd like some feedback on. So, I think, if we start paging through the slides, and to maybe the slide number 4. Yeah, so just a refresher that the parcel is located at the end of Cardinal Drive, with significant frontage along Hanshaw Road, and along on a paper street that was called Oriole Way, I believe. So there was a plan always to build a road through here that connected out to Hanshaw Road and connected both Meadowlark and Cardinal Drive. It's a sizable parcel located there. If we go to the next slide. Just to see sort of more of the context of how it's located with relation to Route 13 that runs diagonally on that drawing. And so you sort of see where we where we fall there. And the next slide just sort of talk a little bit about what's around it. And so, yeah, I guess the screen doesn't show as well as what you could see on the paper there. But the parcel, other than the residential neighborhood that exists in the Meadowlark and Cardinal Drive area, is really surrounded by a lot of property owned by Cornell. A good amount, a good amount of land. Directly south, that parcel 1552 on this drawing is the old Ludgate farm stand property that I'm sure you're all familiar with. And the next slide just sort of shows a little more about what the existing conditions of the site are. It's a just over 8 gross acres of a site. There's an existing water line that runs through the site again, anticipating where that connection between the two dead end roadways would have happened and was planned on paper. There's sewer, municipal sewer that runs to the end of both of those streets, Meadowlark and Cardinal. And the limit of the existing water and sewer district, you can see is noted on this drawing as well. So there's a good amount of the property, and what we've come with the 26 units that we show on the plan right now are located within that existing district. So next slide shows sort of the proposed that proposed plan. Then the 26 residential units, they're cottage style buildings, sort of similar to what Bruno Schickels built out in Caroline or in Freeville. And they range from 1-bedroom units that would be about 675 square feet to 3-bedroom units that would be 1,200 square feet. And I think I've got something with a kind of preliminary unit mix on here on the next slide. But just to walk you through a little bit more than how, this is sort of one of the changes that come back, this time around, is to try to refine this plan a little more, to look at this in sort of these 3 clusters of the buildings around a central drive that connects from Hanshaw to the end of Cardinal Drive, and then a loop drive that runs around the site as well. The paper connection that has always existed up to Meadowlark is that property is now owned by Cornell. At one point was sold to Cornell. So we haven't proposed any connection through that at this point. And we think the project works without that, though we know there's certainly maybe interest, at some point in the future in connecting. And I think we would all, we'd be happy to, allow for that. If not vehicular, at least by, pedestrian pathway to provide connection to the recreation area that would be part of this, project, which, what you see in the plan is sort of, some pathways out to what would be an open air pavilion. I think we're in the sort of what else might be included there. Potentially some sort of, tot lot or, play structure is part of that as well. That would be open to the community and the public around there. And, with green space around that. We've tried to kind of create a plan that would have some interior resident open space as well, shared common space throughout the project. On the next slide, this just sort of showed you, we haven't completely nailed down the mix of the 2 and 3 bedrooms. Those buildings would be the same envelope. And so, it's just a question of the floor plans within them, but the one units of these 26 units, we anticipated, I think, eight of those to be 1-bedroom. And so it ends up being about a third 1-bedroom, a third 2-bedroom, a third 3-bedroom is sort of how it's looking, though, as we kind of finalize the density and then can finalize a pro forma. We could kind of provide the more detailed unit mix as we move through this process. The next slide just sort of talks a little bit more to the to the open space and sort of how the pathways might connect from the community into the recreation area as well as the sort of delineated difference between what would be anticipated as publicly accessible open space, which still would be owned and maintained by the development and resident green space that would be a little more private but shared. Next slide, just speaking to vehicular access. The main vehicular access and egress we anticipate from Hanshaw Road, where we have over 1,000 feet of visibility in either direction. A secondary access from Cardinal Drive, and then we're proposing that we would put some speed humps in here to just sort of to ensure that it's not something anyone sees as some kind of shortcut from going the little bit of extra way down to Sapsucker Woods Road and using that as the main thoroughfare. On the next slide is the kind of preliminary stormwater infrastructure that would be located throughout the site, which is a combination of drainage, swales, rain gardens, bioretention, and then a retention basin and pond at the east end of the site, which is the lower end of the site. These days, these facilities become kind of aesthetic amenities and part of the open space amenity throughout the site, and so that's what we anticipate here, and we'll show some sort of examples of that as we move forward, and along with the buildings of what everything will look like. The next slide, we're going to go through a couple of slides on utilities. The municipal water, we would hook into the existing line that we talked about before that runs through the site already, and create a loop system within the property that would serve all of the units. Again, all of these units now fall within the existing the existing boundaries of the water and sewer district. The sewer. So the sewer is one of the reasons we've kind of taken a little time to get back here was that there's some questions on the sewer as far as just how we work through the multiple municipalities that need to be engaged to get to the point where it's approved. And so that's what we've been working through with Ray and with TG Miller, the town's engineers. And that process is underway. And so that's going on sort of alongside of this. But and my father could speak more to this if anyone has kind of more questions on it. But we believe that we're going to get there as a part of this process. We just would like to move the process forward alongside those discussions and kind of finalizing those agreements. So, Ray, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, just that we have been working for a few months to discuss this with really two entities. The huge wastewater treatment facility would be the recipient. And I think we have a lot of indications that they would provide a real cert letter for this development. What we haven't advanced very far along is the town of Ithaca would be a customer of that system of just pipes. And they have some concerns with pipes being already capacity. So that's the bottleneck that I see. We're still working on it.
Yeah, that was my question, was about capacity. There's enough downstream capacity, or should I say downstream, towards the treatment plant. There's enough capacity, right?
We preliminarily talked to Brent Cross, who's the village engineer, and he's indicated of he's favorable toward serving this project with sewer. It's just updating agreements. And then the town of Ithaca is sort of in the middle of all this with the conveyance system. They've done a pretty extensive study of their infiltration and inflow. And I think their next step is to sort of decide how to get after the worst of that. And they seem very favorable to the fact that people recognize there's a need for housing. So it all seems in place. There's a 6 municipal agreement that was struck now 22 years ago that really entitles the town of Dryden to serve this area with sewer. So it's kind of my hope that people follow through on that.
Got it. Thank you.
So, the next slide, we just want to talk about, for a second, the 26 units, we developed based on, the existing sort of cluster, zoning, framework that said, how many units as of right might you be able to get, in this area? And, we generated 26 units based on the ability to fit a 13 lot subdivision that each home can have a accessory unit as well. Now, I think this, what we're discussing here is this plan, we think could accommodate some additional units, probably 8 to 9 more units along this loop roadway, that we think would still kind of generate a attractive and plan that also kind of made for a good environment and left plenty of open space. And kind of hearing that this is the type of development that you guys, or at least one type of development you guys are looking for. We just wanted to have open the conversation to kind of get some feedback as to kind of whether you might be open to us adding some additional units in this area shown. And then if so, sort of, should we come back and show that before we would move on to the next step or not? So it's just open for a question. I mean, along with, looking for feedback on, the larger concepts we've brought here, which I think are in line with what we showed, but certainly some updated materials. So, and I think with that, the next slide just showed some kind of really preliminary massing that we'll kind of develop with more detail as we move through, through the application process.
So what happens if you try to put those units outside the existing water district?
So we have to extend the district for that, which we think as part of this process is completely doable.
Right.
But if it's not something that there's an interest in, then there's not a need to. So
with the capacity issue that you're talking about, is there enough, if you put units there, is there enough like rise and run that meets that existing sewer there? Or would it have to be pumped to it?
no, it's all gravity.
Okay, so that main on Cardinal is deep enough to sustain all that and big enough?
It would be all gravity, even for that area. About 40 years ago, a fill was put into this property. I don't know if any of you have walked it, but it's actually almost like a mountain as you go to the east.
Okay.
And that's sort of the history of how that wound up there when Mr. Luceni owned a lot of land. And when he developed the road in the town of Ithaca, he brought a substantial amount of fill to this site.
Now the Hugo Heights plant, do they plan to expand anymore? Or, because I knew they're pretty close to capacity.
Graded, but this 6 municipal agreement I referred to enables them to divert flow to the downtown plant. And the downtown plant although everybody has infiltration inflow issues forever. But they have quite a reserve capacity there. But Cayuga Heights upgraded their plant, I want to say about 10 years ago now, time flies, but so it's a lot better shape than it ever was, but still got about a 2 million gallon limit. They can divert I don't know if you know what Klein Road is, but they can divert the old part of the village at that point. And then in my time with the city, when we built a 2-foot interceptor from the plant up north to the high school, so they can intercept their line that comes across Remington Road. So there's still more diversion that could happen in time.
Okay.
That would let the town of Dryden and the Lansings all have public sewer.
To help us give you feedback or thoughts about adding whatever you said, 8 or 9 additional units, can you show where you put them and how you would accommodate them?
Yeah, I mean, these sort of, areas I've highlighted, the pink areas along that curved drive. That's where there'd be, 2 or 3 kind of more little clusters of.
Okay, so that would be contingent on you getting the additional water and sewer,
Well, expanding the district.
expanding the district.
Correct, yeah.
Oh, okay, so you're not trying to pack them into the existing.
I think we got to a point with a plan that we felt pretty good about and said, we're gonna build this driveway. If this is the type of housing that we want to have, there's an opportunity to kind of make that fit within the existing plan.
Yeah.
My opinion is more is better.
Yeah,
The
I agree.
projects that are like this that you mentioned, the Chickle projects have been extremely successful from what I hear and sought after. And they're providing diversity of housing, which is a major component of the town's comprehensive plan.
And I like the drawing a couple beyond this that shows the tree lines and stuff.
Yeah.
I think there's that one, I like that one because it shows you're planning on leaving the trees along Hanshaw there and all that.
Yeah, I mean, if you all, you're all welcome to go over there and walk into the site. I'm sure, there's a driveway there, that makes it kind of easy to park right there. It's kind of hidden away, and so there's a lot of, there should be a pretty good buffer along Hanshaw. And not that you won't see the project, but like we're showing here, it's, I think we're gonna be removed from that and try to maintain the character of Hanshaw Road while adding, the density.
And as far as on the Hanshaw neighbor, so on the left is the old Ludgate property, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and there's a farmhouse and the SPCA to the right, but they're around the curve, right? So they're.
I mean, is down there,
Yeah.
Even beyond, Cornell owns a little bit of land just on the other side of the creek that crosses the road.
Would you mind just talking a little bit about the connection to Cardinal Drive? 'Cause it does kind of look like a continuation of it, and so is there a private driveway that connects to Cardinal then? Or like who manages the snow plowing of that, and would that be turned over to this development or? Cause I could see people sneaking through there to go up to the house in Cardinal easily, like you mentioned.
Well, I think to be that these are private roadways.
Okay.
And that they be maintained by the owner. If the snowplow doesn't want to turn around and wants to drive through the site, I don't think Joe's gonna have any problem with that. Certainly, it's gonna be publicly accessible to everyone. And our understanding is, the emergency vehicles want that, right?
Yes.
That they want these connections to be able to get rid of these dead ends, to add a second access point. Right now, what happens here is that the the roadway actually ends on the property that we're developing and this kind of T happens where the plows can turn around. And and the fire trucks. And so, we've tried to sort of work with that as we plan the driveways to be a natural extension of what exists there already.
How do the fire trucks deal with the speed humps? That's why you're gonna use humps instead of bumps.
Yeah, I think, a next step for us certainly would be to go sit down with them and.
I mean, I like your idea of having some traffic calming
Yeah.
devices, no question, but if I could see where they might be designed in a way that would be a problem for fire trucks, but.
There are more problems, no
I think it was, more fun for snowplows, but.
Tend to be the more recent ones are more elongated, if you notice.
So that's what that, so, which I think are better.
So. We are curious how many and how many are possible. I personally like the sound of this project a lot, always have. But how many and would these be owner occupied or would they be rental units?
So these would be rental units. How many, I think, what we've shown right now is 26. I think if we were to add more in the area we were showing, it would be eight or nine maximum.
So the maximum would be like
35, yeah.
Max if you went along. And the rest of Cardinal that's not public. In terms of, is that our road or?
Cardinal is a town road,
It's gonna switch to a private road when it reaches.
and there's, as much as I know, there's 12 two-family homes on Warren Road. I mean, on Cardinal Drive, and many of them are rentals.
Yeah, most of that area I think is rented and the houses are split up.
There's a strong market for them, and we understand, yeah. Would these be all electric?
These would be all electric, yeah. If you're familiar with the Schickle projects, I mean, having the one owner simplifies a lot of things with the utilities and dealing with the health department. So that's, and the private road. Sort of, Larry will get into other things as far as affordability, but it has a lot to do with it. I mean, ironically, he started the whole thing in Caroline as a make-work project for his crews, and it grew to a popular concept because everybody's been talking about small, just tiny homes forever, but he's one of the few who's made it work, and so that's a prototype for this. Yeah, and I mean, I think just to I think I think having a better sense of the density that everyone's comfortable with will allow us to sort of, come back, whether, I think last time you mentioned maybe you want us to have to meet with the housing committee. But I think we'll be able to give you a better sense of sort of what the rents and kind of affordability levels of these will look like. Having that and being able to sort of finalize a pro forma. But that's where I think a lot, this question of the, one owner for the utilities, being able to build a private roadway versus a public roadway. All those things factor into sort of how affordable the project can be in the end.
What's your plan for building it? Are you gonna do it all at once or it's gonna be under construction for 10 years? What are you thinking about?
10 years for sure. I would say, I think we're looking at what it looks like to do it at once versus 2 to 3 phases. But it wouldn't be a 10-year project. It would be, we anticipate, I think the slowest as being 3 years.
And I guess on the east side of the site where you've got the public amenities shown, that would happen at the same time as the rest of the.
Check it all said we're done. If it was phased out, all said would be done.
Yeah. So This is a really gritty question, but if you're thinking air source heat pumps, right?
Yeah.
I think placement's gonna be a little bit of an issue in the center of that loop. What I'm thinking about is the noise from an air source heat pump and them being so close together. But I'm just,
Mine's pretty quiet.
mine are quiet too, but, you know, but these houses, these are a lot closer together than my houses.
So putting the filter out, they stay quiet.
Yeah,
They look past that, they don't put filters on, then start rattling a little bit.
Yeah.
Working too hard.
I mean, most of them, like, this side, I think they'll just be out behind, not a big deal. And most of them are not, I'm just thinking there's a few that are clustered. And I know this is a preliminary plan, right? They may not sit exactly the way these are sitting, but I was just curious if there was any thought that might be an issue.
We talked about screening along Henshaw. What about the overall perimeter of the project? I haven't been on it. Is there pretty heavy vegetation?
It's so there's a lot of brush there. And there's pretty good vegetation along the perimeter between the other properties. And yeah, we've maintained the sort of the setbacks in addition to that, and are anticipating leaving sort of those buffers in the setbacks of the growth. So we're gonna try to stay as far as we can. Well,
I like this.
What kind of lighting plan is there for this development?
there's not one yet.
Okay.
I mean, we'll look at it and, I think certainly, there's probably a need for some lights along the driveways. And then, I think your standard residential type of lighting, keeping in mind that there's, when we cluster the buildings together, there's a certain amount of light that just gets created from the buildings too.
Like we said last time, we're looking for projects like this. We're working on our zoning so that our approval process is put on here. And trying to make it more welcoming for folks that we do want to like it. Yeah.
I live on the corner of Yellow Barn and Ferguson, if you know that at all. And I can tell you, people do take shortcuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speed bumps, stop signs, and speed limits are just a suggestion for most of these people. So you're gonna have people going through there routinely. So I personally, I can understand the emergency vehicles going through there, but connected to Meadowlark would be ridiculous in my point of view. An additional traffic impediment for the residents. You got this nice little community where you can walk around. You're gonna have vehicles going through there. Has anyone, and I don't know if it's necessary, spoken with residents on Cargill Drive and to let them know we're coming through? You're gonna have more traffic on your road.
I don't think we haven't done that yet. And I guess we're certainly open to sort of whatever this body and the town board think is necessary.
Well,
this has been for quite a long time been a planned roadway.
To do a PUD, we're gonna have to have public hearings.
Yeah.
So people have plenty of chance to weigh in if they live in the area. Will have plenty of chance to weigh in because there's gonna have to be public hearings for it. Anyway, yeah. What about signage on Hanshaw Road? Are you planning on any of that?
I don't think anything major. I mean, I think we understand there's signage ordinances, and if that becomes part of the design, we'll have to present that and go through the proper steps.
Yep.
Just the street sign,
What?
just the street sign.
This is, I don't know if they're, if this is gonna have a name or something, I thought maybe they'd have sign out. on Hanshaw Road or something.
We're gonna make sure it's a private drive.
But I would think you'd want to have private drive signs, yes. And that will deter many people, but not everybody. But, yeah, but the,
Get one of those gates like George Junior had.
but make it a gated community, yes.
So you have no pedestrian access to Hanshaw, is that just something you're gonna do later or in another plan or? Everybody's gonna walk the street, what's,
What do you mean?
well, if you were on a bicycle, you're gonna ride the road on down, or you're gonna have separate access, some sort of multi-use trail and.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at connecting a pathway.
I'm just trying to figure out pedestrian traffic flow through there. You got sidewalks amongst inside there, but some of them don't connect to anything. So, people like to stroll, especially in a tight community. So some connectivity, that's what makes these work, everybody gets along with their neighbor and has a mint julep on the front porch, so.
May want to consider,
Public transportation access point is on Hanshaw, that would need to be.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have something there, and connectivity with it all.
because on Hanshaw,
If I want to go visit you over in
Yeah.
the corner, I have to go out on the street and walk. I'm looking at what your sidewalks, because they just, they're not only connected to the buildings, the parking lot, but they're not connected to other buildings.
Right.
And they're not connected to Cardinal and they're not connected to Hanshaw.
yeah, if there's a bus stop, it's gonna be out on Hanshaw, right?
Yeah.
So you'd want them to be able to get out to Hanshaw, that driveway that comes out to Hanshaw, that road that comes out to Hanshaw, you'd want to be able to have at least some walking path along it.
I'm thinking more pedestrian safety,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're,
Yeah, somewhere there, you're gonna want to have a way to get out to, I'm assuming there's gonna be a bus stop there or something, because people can use.
And we-
Yeah. Yeah.
Possibly talk, or whoever.
Yeah.
well, a lot of them are call stops now anyways. They can be.
Yeah, they just come out and wave,
Yeah.
right?
But you gotta have, you're mixing vehicles with, especially all those cut through people, right?
Yeah, but
So, And I'm a proponent, I like stop signs as traffic calming, because then the snowplow guys don't raise hell but you have no enforcement, except your maintenance guy.
Which is me.
yeah,
You can be writing tickets all day long.
I'll let everyone down for a beer so you can sit near my stop signs and see how many people.
Yeah, I know, but even if 50% of the people stop, it works, or at least, so.
Yeah, and you're stop.
No, they're gonna roll through them, but at least it slows them down.
and that.
I was telling
It-
you once. You hit your head and say, oh, it's a shortcut.
In the middle, that's a sidewalk, like the loop goes all the way around, right? The outside,
Right.
and that there's a sort of a connector in the middle there behind that's a sidewalk, right?
In between the two, yeah.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, right
Yeah.
there, yes, that is a sidewalk, right?
Yes, it's a spit is, yeah.
Yes, it isn't a drive, it isn't a road through there, it's a sidewalk. Got it.
Yeah, part of the goal was to connect you
Yeah.
to sort of both,
Yeah, that's a better,
both parts of the loop,
yeah,
that sort of are anticipated
yeah.
to allow community access to the recreational space.
And you're still gonna leave the T there for the snowplows to turn around and all that, so that, because Cardinal Drive is a town road, so the snowplows are gonna have to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah,
they're not turning around, they'll be able to turn around.
yeah, good. All right,
When would you? With everything lined up, when would you like to break ground?
Spurred.
This sounds right. Okay.
What'd you think? Where, not all.
But
great, yeah.
not after last winter, yeah.
The guys were real,
well,
Nobody was happy last winter.
as to get more into this, we're gonna have to like. Plans that show like wetlands and all that kind of stuff, right?
But so.
Yeah, so this is gonna, and PUDs are town board, right? So we do a recommendation to the town board on them.
Yeah, we start with the town board gets the application, they accept the concept, they pass it to the planning board for public hearing and feedback, recommendations on the concept plan and secret.
Got it.
So the plan is before the town board?
No, this is
They run the-
because the,
They run the hearing?
First on the concept plan, and then town board runs a hearing on the legal plan.
Right.
right, we put the application in end of April. And this is the first meeting that we have to have before the town board.
So you're gonna, well, so now from here, you're gonna go to the town board. They will decide whether they accept it, and then it'll come back to us for review and seeker. Right,
And the public hearing.
and the public hearing. Right, got it, okay, and then it goes back to the town board for final. Yeah. Right,
Then the second step is the development plan, which is akin to a full site plan. And in that case, when that gets reviewed, it's reviewed here, but then the public hearing is at the town board.
is it the town board, right, okay, so there's a public hearing for us and a public hearing for the town board, but that's a long process.
Just talk, yeah, but the,
Yeah,
Doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
Trying to change that, so I think it'd be a good idea, if you haven't done this already, to identify what are all the bases you have to touch. And when you're about to do that, there's
Yep,
lots of
yep.
meetings and rules and stuff like that, so prepare a scheduled project plan that gives you your spring. Groundbreaking.
Yep.
We don't do a lot of these. I don't know, must be a good description of what we are, but there's a lot of stuff. going on. So you might
Yep.
know,
Yep.
Ray
Yep.
and staff can probably help do that.
Yeah.
Prepare an overall schedule and game plan for municipal approval.
but yeah. But I like what this looks like, yeah.
Yeah, I like it too, even with the additional, if you could squeeze 9 in there.
Yeah, even with the additional, yeah.
Then I mean.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I think what makes, especially in Freeville, that development you guys, Schickle did in Freeville nice is the fact that it is a private road and there isn't that throughway. And just looking at this, it seems like maybe if you remove that connection, you might even be able to fit a few extra units where that road goes through, maybe even. And create kind of a private neighborhood for the people renting there that might make it attractive.
I don't know if the fire.
I think the emergency.
Have to have fire access.
Just build one, wow, I would have to put another entrance on the end, so.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll meet with the fire department and sort of suss out their preferences as well.
Right.
And then, I think make our proposal based on that moving forward, so. But yeah, obviously, we wanted to get your feedback on this and feel great about what we've heard here tonight. And looking forward to seeing a lot of you over
again.
I'm excited that all you guys are excited, because that was a big step for me and my crew, and to be getting into development, so it means a lot to me to see you guys excited, honestly, encourages me. Pushing forward.
Oh, yeah, this is a development that the town wants.
Yeah, it is, it definitely is.
Yep. It's exciting.
Yep, cool,
Carry on, guys.
Great,
yeah.
thank you very much.
Good luck.
you wanna save on printing costs and collect these up?
It's gonna be next time, so, but I think,
If you have to go before the town board, I didn't.
well, I'm gonna, let me. I'll take them.
Never say never.
It's the paper. We'll be updated, I'll be updating the density, so I'm not sure. But,
All right. Zoning rewrite. So, I'm sorry, thanks, guys, I appreciate it, I didn't wanna just, yeah. Good luck. Zoning rewrite, the co-housing discussion is being postponed till next month, Brad sent me an email earlier today saying, he probably wouldn't be able to make it on, he was having some technical issues and. So that's gonna move. I know John has some general updates he wanted to give. The only thing I wanted to mention is there was an email that Ray sent earlier about some definitions related to farm and in farming in what is it, neighborhood residential zones. I don't want to go into that a lot tonight, but part of what we need to do, I think, is look at where some of those suggestions might fall into. Number one, do we want to do something with them, and then where do they fall in our phasing of zoning? But if you haven't had a chance to read through that, Ray did send some additional background information.
Just the nature of the complaint.
Just the nature of the complaint, and I did watch the town board, the recording of the town board meeting, so I have a good background on it, but I think there's some interesting stuff in there, but it's, I think what we need to do is review it and figure out where it falls in our sort of zoning pieces, because I'm not sure all of it, or I'm not sure how much of it falls in phase one, I guess. I don't think really any of it does, but
Yeah, probably not, but under the current zoning, some of it, if it's. Ag has its own rules on what's considered to be a farm, so.
right.
It's pretty cut and dry, more than 7 acres, you gotta make $10,000 to be considered a farm, agricultural.
Yeah.
If it's under.
Market's farm, yeah.
If
Market's farm, but
if it's under 7 acres, you gotta do 50,000.
when you say right to farm,
But those are
like
conditions.
right to farm community,
Yeah.
is that the definition of a farm in that context?
Well, I think in general, the town, it'd be a good question for Nan, because I don't
Yeah.
know what other communities
Yeah,
do
yeah.
with having the home, the farmstead, people.
Yeah,
They can,
yeah.
I mean, my neighbor has pigs.
Right,
We got 2 pigs. They're there, he feeds them, they're there, they're gone, so. That's. how-
you're also in an ag district,
No, it's rural residential.
a rural residential, not neighborhood.
Not
residential.
neighborhood, yeah, that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Neighborhood, but it's possible to do agriculture, I mean, especially with the.
Yeah.
The cannabis industry, you could generate $50,000 in your garage,
True.
so.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just, I would encourage people to, look at what was sent and.
Yeah,
I think where it belongs is in the discussions related to probably phase 2, because I think phase 2, we're talking about doing definitions, but. But it's probably where it falls in all of this, but
Right.
just
And
something.
I guess my point, it might be it might be something we consider in every district.
Right, right.
To limit farm animals to.
Yeah.
More mostly like chickens or something.
Yeah.
With Bruce.
I did a Google street site view of that neighbor,
Yeah,
and it looks like just a really crappy neighbor.
yeah,
The property is horrible,
yeah,
just poorly maintained. There's
Yeah, I looked at it.
way everywhere, and it's a nice little neighborhood.
yeah.
And this person just
Yeah.
doesn't seem to care.
So, okay. So that's all. So John, did you want?
Yeah, it's a thing. So as you know, I've pretty much been taking the summer off on my work on this zoning project.
Yeah, it's just.
I spoke with Nan last week to just touch base with her and get an update on what she's doing and talk a little bit about where I think we're headed in the coming months. I wrote down minutes from the discussion I had with her and sent them off to her just to check in. And when I get that back again, I was thinking I would issue what I'm calling a project status report to the zoning advisory group. Just to let everybody know where we are and where we think we're headed. So I have no agenda for an August meeting. I haven't been doing anything, so I don't really think we need to meet. I don't think there's any purpose for us getting a group together. And in place of that, I'll send the group this project status report, which talks about how we're going to pick things up later in August and into September. So Nan's working on the data center piece. She said she's been reading some background materials on what the laws are for data centers. She does plan to publish the draft data center piece separately and first, that'll be the first thing we get later this month or perhaps early August. She said we should see that. I'm thinking then that the process for review on that and for all of the stuff that we get from her on phase 1, that we'll send that off to the zoning advisory group and ask them for comments, give them a couple of weeks to review it. And then the ZAG meetings that we have would go through those comments one at a time and we would resolve them and that would produce the second draft of the phase one zoning update, and Nan would attend those meetings. So the first meeting for that, assuming we get the data center piece sometime in the next couple of weeks, it's possible that, that would be at the September ZAG meeting, that the review of that would start. I'm not gonna be here, I'm out of town, I'm not gonna be here for the August planning board meeting, and I won't be here for the September ZAG meeting, so Tony, I'm thinking that you're okay.
Yep.
Running that process, yeah, okay, good. So let's see, a couple other things,
So
go ahead.
how are people feeling about skipping the August ZAG meeting as John proposed? Everybody okay with that?
Okay. Yeah, so I mentioned that Nan's gonna publish the data center piece first. And then she advised that the rest of it all come in one package, that we not try to break it up. And the reason she said that is that there are linkages between the different packages. And then it's tough to to pull a piece out and be able to review it without seeing the rest. So for example, the definitions refer to things that are referred to in the body of zoning, so you can probably need the body of zoning when you look for the definition. So we're gonna get that all at once. Her original proposal to us allowed something like 2.5 or maybe 3 months for her to prepare that piece. And I think, Ray, you authorized her to get going mid-June.
Yeah.
So July, August, so mid-September is when we might see the big piece, the overall piece of.
So is battery storage in that piece as well?
Yes, that would be included in that, yeah. I also talked, speaking of battery storage, I asked Nan her opinion of whether it's useful to wait until we see what's in the new fire code ordinance on battery storage. I mentioned at the last meeting that NYSERDA thinks that that is going to be published in January. She said no. She said in her writing of zoning, she doesn't quote codes because codes change. She said, you need to meet the fire code, but then she wouldn't advise that we then put language into our zoning that would be quoting the requirements of the code.
Yep.
Instead, what we can do, and Nan agreed with this, is that in the battery energy storage write-up that we approved for the phase one, there are pieces in there, for example, that we heard from the fire chiefs. There are pieces in there that are from the New York Fire Safety Working Group that we point out in the best piece, and Nan said that we can refer to those, whether they become law or not. We can refer to those in our zoning and make them part of the special use permit approval process. And again, regardless of whether it's codified in the fire code or not, if there's something that we think is important that didn't make it into the code and the developer refuses to deal with it, then they don't get the permit. So that's the way Nan plans to address those things, that there are specific recommendations that Nan has from us that she's going to put into the code. So, so that'll be included in the phase one draft. If the town elects not to include that in the zoning update for whatever reason until some later date, you guys can do that.
Right.
It's not included in the phase one zoning update. We'll figure that out when the time comes. Let's see. So two things that are in the phase two rough draft that we talked about, I think at the last ZAG meeting. One is to develop a plan to think about and recommend density controls to, as they say, preserve the rural environment in Dryden. We took that out of the phase one scope because it became clear very quickly that I haven't really thought through how you do that. How you define preserving the rural environment, how you measure density, which densities are appropriate. And so I talked to Nan about that and asked her how other communities develop an analytical approach to thinking about density control. She said, well, you do a build-out analysis, and apparently that's a fairly common thing to do. She's got a GIS guy who she says has done lots of those where they take our information here in the town and, do a build out analysis based on the existing zoning. And that would include new roads and, potential locations for new developments and things like that. And that would tell us if you don't do anything with zoning, here's what it might look like in 25 or 50 years. So that's sort of the first part of the build out analysis. And then you can do studies. You can say, okay, suppose we adopt a density requirement where you can have overall density of one housing unit in the conservation district per 5 acres. And then you do a build out analysis and say, okay, what does that look like? So it sounded to me like that was a good start for us to have an analytical tool that we could use to begin to understand what we're talking about. And I asked Nan if she could send us a proposal for that, and she said she can. So that was one thing. Another one is that if we elect to put the subdivision ordinance rewrite into phase 2, one of the things we're going to want to think about are the residential and commercial design guidelines. And Nan's recommendation is that we update those and then roll them into zoning to put some teeth behind them. They're old, they're 20 years old, and there's been a lot of thinking about smart growth concepts that I think Nan shared that she thinks those are fairly obsolete. So that's a project to update the residential and commercial design guidelines. Nan said she can send us examples, contemporary examples that she thinks for rural communities like ours that we could use sort of as a starting point to think about, what are best practices here, and then what do our guidelines look like? So for us, I think if there's some homework, get into them. They're on the website, the residential and commercial design guidelines, and let's understand what's in there. And if there are things in there that you guys think don't make sense, mark that down and we'll talk about it. If there are things in there that we never make people do for whatever reason, we should know that. If there are things in there that we don't understand or we don't know how to enforce, so let's get into that. And again, that's a phase 2 thing, which is, months from now. It's something that we'll be doing.
I think you pretty much defined phase 2. If we talk about subdivisions. Right? If we talk about subdivisions, what else? Because the 2 pieces you just talked about, the density control, subdivisions and design guidelines, you're talking, that's a pretty big chunk.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
So in the project status update that I send out to you guys and the rest of the advisory group, I'll include the blurb that I put into the May 22nd document that we sent to the town board, and that included a section on possible
phase 2, right?
Phase 2 work. Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you would want to add too much more to phase 2 than what we just talked about there, because that sounds pretty big.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I also, my sense is that the review of the phase 1 draft is going to be a heavy lift.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of stuff in there.
Yeah.
I always, when I think about zoning, it seems simple, and then you get close to it and all of a sudden it gets complicated. So I think we should anticipate multiple meetings as we go through Nan's work to really try and understand, what are the implications of the things that she's written down. It's going to be a lot of work. Yeah. So as soon as I hear back from Nan on the draft of the telephone conversation that I had with her last week, to make sure the dates and stuff that I put in there, that she agrees with them, I'll go ahead and publish that project status report.
In the meantime, I'll tell Cassie and them to cancel the next meeting on the thing, and we'll send something out. Or do you want to?
Yeah, I can do that when I send it out. I also wanted to mention Chuck Geisler is going to be the new rep from the Conservation Board.
On the call.
Oh, hi Chuck. And I've sent him some stuff. We've had a couple of conversations on that. And then another thing I forgot to mention. Last December, I prepared that document called the Straw Man, where I highlighted pieces from Nan's audit of our zoning. She said that was helpful, and she said for phase 2, if I could do that again, highlight pieces and then preface it with sort of a bulleted list of the main topics that we hope to cover. So I will be working on that in the coming month or so. And I might be able to bring that to the September planning board meeting. And then follow the same template that we did last time.
The September planning board, because you're gonna miss the ZAG meeting. right?
Yeah,
Planning-
so if I can get that a couple of weeks minimum before the September planning board meeting. And then just as we did with phase one, that would be open for discussion with the planning board, you know, is this what we want to have in phase two? If I can't get it done for the September meeting, then we'll have to wait for October.
Good. Wow,
So for those design guidelines, the commercial is 24 pages and residential is 36.
Yeah.
No big documents. Yeah.
yeah, that's something to read.
A lot
Yeah.
of pictures though. Yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, John, that's great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Look forward to the status, so you'll tell them that we're not gonna have a ZAG meeting as part of that update.
Yep, and I hope to send that out.
Yep.
Today or tomorrow.
And of course, it'll be in our minutes here that we're not gonna have it, and I'll have them cancel it on the website, or show it as canceled on the website.
Good.
Good, anything else on zoning? No, I think we're good. Well, before we go to the planning department update, while I'm thinking of it, August is often a big vacation month. Is there anybody else that's not gonna be around for the August 28th planning board meeting? No, okay,
I'll be in New Hampshire, but I might be able to join by Zoom.
okay. All right.
I may or may not be here for that one.
Ooh, we're getting close to not having a quorum.
It's unsure right now.
That's no real later.
All right, so listen, so anyway, because when I send out the agenda, I'm starting to ask to let me know if you will or will not, right? Because so that we know if we have a quorum. So just please respond to that so we can understand if we'll have a quorum or not here. Good. All right, planning department update.
All right, so we recently received pro housing recertification. So
Yay.
for the next year. We've also achieved a Climate Smart Silver certification in the Climate Smart
that.
Communities program.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we have our little plaque hanging up in the case by the front doors. We sent you a couple of emails. One was a standard conditions of approval. We want to recommend that they put having sidewalks put in there when the town is ready to put in sidewalks. So that it's not indefinitely put off, and at some point we can call in that obligation to whomever the owner is. The other thing is, I just sent around right before you got here, there's an opportunity for housing training in September for planning board and zoning board members. The other thing, I just want to let you know, we've had a couple of telecommunications tower recertification requests and equipment change requests. And they don't necessarily need to come through here. Usually it's an administrative matter. We have one that needs a special use permit because they actually never had one because the tower was originally put up in 1988 and they didn't need that. And now there's no equipment on the tower whatsoever. This is 471 Snyder Hill Road. And so they're going to locate some equipment. So they're going to go through the SUP process. So shouldn't go through here, but just so you're aware that's going on. Our new folks, did you say about new folks? Or did they? Yeah, all right. That's about what's going on for us.
I do have a question on sidewalks,
Pardon me?
sidewalks questions. Who does maintenance on sidewalks? And I mean, it's sort of that's a gray area too, isn't it?
Yeah, we should clarify it. It's currently the landowner. So if it's on,
Is it,
yeah.
is that something you could put in the general conditions as well? To make it clear that,
I think we should get it right on we should have a statute that says the property owner is responsible for any sidewalks on the property.
yeah, because we're about ready to have sidewalks, so.
Oh, Barnett is the first time it pressed the
Right.
question.
Right, and there's some statute on state law that said that the state funded it, the town's responsible for the maintenance, but I don't. Yeah, that's a gray area there, yeah. But, you know, and what's the deal on North Street? Have you heard any? For the sidewalks, because I've
Yeah,
heard
so
that,
the village is carrying out as the project manager on that.
Right.
MRB, I think, is doing the engineering. I don't have any initial details. I haven't seen any preliminary work on the engineering.
but we have time for the maintenance of sidewalks before that goes in too. Who's gonna take care of the sidewalks on North Street?
Yeah, we should definitely get that. You know, I think what's gonna advance is that the statute will literally state landowner.
The landowner, yeah, okay,
Now, they might choose to do a district. Certainly everything within the village is treated like a district.
right,
But those that are outside of town should be a mile plus now with that addition. Yeah, it might behoove all the owners to get their ready.
do a district, right?
And we did have a suggestion from Dave Sprout, which was a good one, is that in that wording, it says to connect to town, but also to connect to the village. Like if you've got, because in the North Street project, you've got side by side village and town, and just to make sure that's all clear, that if the village comes up to their property, they need to put in the sidewalk too.
Right.
I noticed that upstate Hayes, the dispensary over near Nice Head, appears to be open. They had a big wooden fence.
In their site plan that they didn't put up.
Yeah, but how did that happen?
They had a fence. that
Well, we
put up?
approved the project with a big fence on the
Yeah.
Route 13 side of the building, and there's no fence there.
Nothing there.
Yeah, they wanted it for privacy.
They said they wanted it for privacy, and it was in the site plan, but it's not.
Okay.
The other piece, I haven't been down in there, but I don't know if they did the, there was also recommendations in the site plan about. Pedestrian access.
Drive
Oh,
improvement.
Widening the driveway.
Yeah, widening the
I
driveway.
haven't driven down that either.
I drive by there every day. It doesn't look like they touched that drive. I'm
I
not
don't think
sure.
they've done much as far as.
Put a sign up, but
So how do they get a CO?
CO's different than,
Yeah.
that's another can of worms.
Yeah, so
No
the
enforcement.
point is, it does not appear that there were several things on the site plan. That did not appear to have been done.
It's a glitch in the law.
Okay. And follow up.
Yeah. And it definitely appears like they're open. I've been by there many times and it looks like they are open.
Yeah, they are, they got a flag out.
Yeah.
That says open.
Yeah, so.
Has anything happened with that car repair place? Is that scheduled to come back here anytime soon?
2150.
Yeah, so there is no additional submittals. They're still planning their searching for an engineer. I think it just has to be cease and desist. Dave's already put a stop work order out there. We need to do something more honestly.
How about a padlock? Gate's already there.
They were putting on Facebook that they were selling cars as well, which was riveting.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have a license to do,
Operator shop at all.
to be the operator. Repair shop, you know.
Yeah.
And I only know that because the other repair shops area haven't been notified. Which I didn't know. I guess it's like the liquor industry. They get to weigh in on whether there's a need for another repair shop. In your facility. Isn't that weird?
I wonder how they feel about that.
Huh?
No, we don't need any more around. That's.
I thought it's a weird thing that, you know.
I know that Dave Sprout was
Yeah.
contacting DMV and asking them about it, but they've not been good about getting back to him.
He works on air cooled cars. We need a specialist on for air cooled.
No, you need a spec. I need somebody who works on hybrid.
Yeah.
Air cooled.
Yeah, okay, is that it? All questions for planning? Okay, next is town board update, Dan.
Yeah, so this proposal for Cardinal Drive reminded me about the Reserve Bridge. Well, give me an update about that. I did contact State Department of Transportation, the local roads development manager, Karen Cole. got back to me. We had a nice long conversation, laid it all out. This, it's been taking too damn long, this project. So she admitted that they were short staffed and they just brought in a new person who has done work in this area. His name's Eric Hathaway. Apparently he did some work with the city of Ithaca as a consultant. Sounds like he's the guy for the job, and he'll help move this project along. They need to have a design report that we've submitted to them, reviewed, and then fed back to us so we can go into a design approval. And then some endangered species studies done. I just think if we can get through that paperwork in the next couple of months, we could actually get this out to bid late fall. And that's what she said. She was going to get back to me with the timeline, and then we'd go forward with the removal and replacement of the Freeze Road Bridge, which, for this project will probably work out just about right. And, in terms of when the Cardinal Road project, but that'll be an important access way, I think, for any development in that area.
The road's been closed like 5 years, right? At least.
Yeah, and it closed because the bridge became unsafe. and,
Right.
Passable at any
Actually,
at
it's been
any way.
longer than 5 years, I think.
So, yeah, it's not okay, and it doesn't sit well, and as the project lingers, prices go up. And so what was a nice $2.5 million grant in 2018 is really, $2 million grant or less to now. And I reminded her of that, and that we may need to have some adjustment in the funding, and she didn't say no, to my surprise. She said, I hope, DOT has a contingency fund for projects that have taken this long under review, not due to the client, not due to the recipient.
There is the Ithaca Housing Development Project there too,
You're right. and that's-
because I was just talking to people, so they said they're going out to bid right now for that project, so that
Yeah.
probably happened really soon.
I mean, you can walk across the bridge, just can't drive it. So,
Yeah.
pedestrians can still get across, and that's good for students and runners and bikers, but we want the emergency vehicle access across there. That's really important. I think since our last meeting, it was early July, and Jason and I sat down with the DEC about the Dryden Dam. And I'm trying to think of projects that really impact how this group operates in terms of development. Dryden Dam is a great asset. Dryden Lake's a great part of the Dryden experience, and we don't want to see that dissipate. But the DEC for years, it's their dam. They want to give it to us. We don't want it because it needs to be replaced. They made it very clear that the regional director, and this is fairly unusual, but the regional director came here and met with us, and she was great. Very interactive. And Dareth Glantz is her name, and very smart, and had all sorts of great ideas about many things. But on this, she was immovable. She said, we've got $1 million, and it's a $3.5 million project, and you're not going to be able to replace the dam with the money we have. If you have resources, we'll partner, or you can look at alternative things to do with that $1 million. And so we're kind of in that, shock stage where what would we do with the Dryden Lake Dam? If we do nothing, it'll stay there until at some point, it gets overwhelmed, and then
At some point, it's just gonna fail.
it's just gonna fail.
Yeah.
Or it will slowly leak,
Right.
and then like we'll drain lower than we'd want it to be. So we're thinking of options. It'd be great to get an earmark from some generous legislator, but I warn people that's always, a long shot. That, of things you could get from a legislator. We've got a lot of needs, and that could be one, but we've got other things that I can talk about that need earmarks.
So,
We-
Dan, my sense is that dam isn't going anywhere anytime soon, that this is not something that's on fire, that,
You know the dam fairly well.
well, I'm no dam expert, but,
Dam experts.
I've been here, it looks the same as it did 30 years ago. The muck on the on the lake side of it is like 6 inches below the top. There's no great hydraulic pressure trying to push it over. I think that 20 years from now, it's still gonna be there.
Yeah, wasn't it one of the Becks that worked on that? I remember.
I don't know, but.
Got that story right, Roger Beck.
I think that, you know, do nothing right now. I would be very concerned if the DEC came in alarmed and said that we need to take it out because it's gonna break.
They're pretty much, you know, they said balls in your court, you know.
Yeah.
She was quick to say, you know, there wasn't always a lake there. For most of history, there's been no lake there, you know, the lake went in and we had a little back and forth about when the lake went in, but I think it was early 1800s when it went in. So it's been there a while, and it's certainly, you know, integral in our Dryden experience. So I hope you're right, John, and that it's not going anywhere. If it did fail, you know, we could take the 1 million and put something substantive that might not go as high, but would retain enough water for that to be a wildlife area and for fish and limited boating, but it would still be a nice bog as opposed to Dryden Lake. I hate, you know, that would be a big difference. The DEC folks are kind of like, well, we love bogs, lots of wildlife. You won't lose any birds and you'll still have the fish. And the main thing is that no one's coming to save us on that,
Right.
you know, with the new dam. And that's just, that was an adjustment. For last 5 or 10 years, we've been thinking that DC was just shuffling money around and they'd come by with a checkbook at some point, but that's not happening. We also got a report from our consultant on the recreation plan for the field back here. There aren't as many acres available to develop as we originally thought. I think it wound up being about 3 due to the wetlands that need to be protected, but there is nonetheless enough space for a regulation soccer field that could be divided up into 3 sub-size soccer fields for practice or younger youth games, and then another, I think it's called a U12 soccer field next to the larger field and parking, and the town board was impressed enough to say, let's keep this going. That's a good initial design, a concept designed by this group called CHA Consultants, and so we're glad to see that finally move forward. The price is going to be something we have to grapple with. You know, it's about $1.5 million to do, and we'll have to find grant money for that. We don't have that in our rec reserve fund, or like I say, an earmark. You know, these are competing things that came up in the same month, and that would both be expenses on the town budget. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? You know, we're waiting word on the rail trail pedestrian bridge at NYSEG, that area, and you know, I think we should be hearing back from New York State Department of Transportation soon about which option is acceptable. We've got one, the one that we can afford is the one that we're pushing for them to accept additional information on the bid that was submitted back in May. And there's a precedence for DOTs and other regions doing this. They've been a little reluctant, but nonetheless, they're listening and they know we're in a tough spot. So we're hoping to get positive feedback really in the next week or so from DOT on whether we can accept the local bidder. It's from Endwell, Broome County, and get them going on the project. You know, they're ready to go.
Is that bid for like, are they gonna build the bridge there, or is it build it externally?
They drop it in.
They drop
They
it.
probably, well, they would contract, a subcontractor would supply the bridge. They would do a lot of the prep and building up the ground.
But the bridge itself comes in pre-assembled and dropped in.
No, it's
Right.
just, and it's an expense, but it's, believe it or not the biggest. It's, you know, 100,000, 200,000, depending on where they get it. That's not the biggest expense in the project.
Right, the site work is more.
But if we can get the preferred bidder, this will come in under budget, and that's really good.
That's good.
Hey, Dan, getting back to the dam, did DEC share a concept plan or a schematic design? Where did the budget estimate come from?
They did an engineering study, a basic thing that they
Do you
had.
have that?
They had numbers, I think I do, or I could get it. Yeah.
You know,
If I wanted to see the numbers too, and so they passed around this spreadsheet that had the breakdown on the
yeah,
various.
it'd be interesting to try and get an idea of how much they have embellished the design because it's not their money they're spending. You know.
You know, somebody who might build us a dam?
The existing dam has done an awful good job and it sure as hell didn't cost $3.5 million. So, you know, it did come push to shove that the dam needed to get replaced. I wouldn't necessarily think the DEC schematic design or whatever it is the right one. That it could well be that you could put something in for a heck of a lot less money and get the job done, because the one there has been doing a pretty good job for a long time.
Okay, I'll try and find that for you, John.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to see it?
Yeah,
Okay, maybe I can just send it to the planning board.
Yep.
It would be fun, yeah, and I would agree with John on that. Plus, this all came to head 6 years ago, the DEC. And then back 6 years ago was a crisis, you know, it had to be done, then here we are 6 years later, gotta be done, so I suspect.
Right.
6 years from now, it'll be like, you gotta be done, you know, so I don't know. I had the privilege to sit on that meeting with DEC.
Yeah.
And, she was all about grants for sewer and water. Too, if you remember, she brought up that the DEC was really focused on water quality, and that was trying to get things like the Hanshaw Village and places like that cleaned up. So I thought that was an interesting, she rattled off several grants. Did you write?
No, yeah, we're aware of those revolving loan funds and working with environmental
But I
projects.
thought that was interesting to hear that from DEC, because usually, you only hear the negative side. You gotta fix it, you don't hear like positive, like, oh, yeah, there's money for this, there's money for that, so. I thought that was good.
And who else was at that meeting? There's somebody else that's not on the town board.
Brad was there.
Brad was there and Craig Scott.
Craig Scott.
And
And did Craig Scott do the citizens privilege at the end of the last town board meeting?
Yeah.
What was there was 3 things he brought up, and one had to do with a bunch of fill.
Oh, yeah, that's the property that floods just south of the village. That the local fellow likes to excavate perpetually, so.
You were triangle.
Okay, it is that one out by Dryden Lake,
Yeah.
where he dug a big hole in the triangle with the rail trail.
Yeah.
And I saw that's filled in, and so the town filled that in.
Yeah, Rick. I mean, wasn't he taking him to court over that? I don't know.
Who's taking them to court? DEC.
Or threatening to, but yeah, he was jeopardizing our road by digging such a sheer drop.
Right.
And he kept, I went out there and spoke to him one day and goes, I'm just restoring it to the way it was before 1972. It's like. Okay, well.
No, you're not, but anyway. It didn't drop off the edge of the road like that in 1972.
Yeah, I wasn't around.
Yeah, but, yeah. I wasn't, I watched the recording and I wasn't quite clear on what he was, because some of it cut out, so I wasn't quite sure what he was exactly talking about on that. I was curious.
Yeah, that was it. Okay.
Those town land, the recreation fields there, how much did the town pay for those plans? Because in my opinion, those plans are pretty subpar. There's no stormwater plan. There's terrible parking plan. There's no road design, or like, they're pretty bad.
Oh, it's not engineering, it's just a concept. He was quick to say it's just a concept.
This was a concept plan.
Okay.
Yeah. And we pointed that out. We were asking really specific, as please, I can't, the traffic plan isn't exact. It's not that this isn't a stormwater plan. So, yeah, it was basically a sketch of what this could look like. And they just wanted to know, they really wanted to say, is this what the town board would like? And that's what the rec committee was bringing to us. And yeah, for the most part, it was, if we can figure out how to move the cars. And how that can be when you've got Rotary soccer and on a Saturday morning, you don't want kids getting hit. I would like to see a one-way loop myself if this is going in there, so cars aren't trying to go up and down that narrow little access way.
Right.
To the fields up by DPW and not touching DPW's area. It's gonna take some, a little more refinement, I agree. A lot more refinement.
Yeah. Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Any other questions for Dan? No? Okay.
I do have one. Driving fiber real quick. They've kind of put there's been a pause for a while. In my area at least. Do you know what if they pick back up, I know something paused them for a bit, right?
Wish I could put a shiny, it was just this or that. We had worked with an engineering firm that left us with some real gaps and overextended in some areas and underdeveloped in terms of support for some of our key lines that are being put out. We've had to go back and revise a lot of the engineering of the prior firm. That it's hard to stop, but we're glad we stopped at that point in this project before we really get into the big money that we've received, so we're a couple million into this, but it's a $25 million project. And so we've switched consultants and engineering firms and we're looking, we still have the requirement and the plan to get built out by the end of 2026 pursuant to the municipal improvement program grant that we got, the $9 million that's been escalated up to about 12 million. So we have the money, and we also have a commitment to build out by then, but we just had to pause while we revise a lot of the engineering so we can get back to our build out. We meet twice a month. If you're ever curious, you're welcome to join our meeting tomorrow. I think
There is a meeting tomorrow, yeah.
should be.
I'm hoping to get an update, because at the last meeting, he said that they were starting to put out some of the stuff to bid. I think they were planning on restarting construction like in August.
That's my understanding too.
My understanding was now, again, there wasn't a firm date, so
I'm just curious.
basically, we're getting close to restarting the construction. And I'm very anxious, because when the point they stopped the
Is your
construction, they pulled fiber up the road, but they haven't spliced it. So I have fiber sitting
You're looking at it.
in my lawn,
Nice.
but not spliced in.
You should know to do well.
I'm in the same, similar. They're very close to my house,
here.
but not my driveway.
See, they went up on the price.
They did?
It's $60 a month.
I haven't heard
There's
that.
different,
I heard that.
There are different tiers.
there's cheers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because we were looking at, I've got a friend, I'm trying to get her off DSL and she was
No,
85, so I'm trying to.
no, it's
There's
not.
And I looked
more.
up driving fiber to see where they are and it's popped up at $60 a month.
I think that's the platinum or gold plan. The basic plan is.
I don't think there's anything that's 60.
There's nothing on there.
No, nothing, the ones that are above that, it's just there are tiers.
Oh, yeah.
There are tiers, but I don't think there's one that's 60. I think
There's
45,
75 of 90.
75, 90. Yeah,
Is that what it is?
Yeah, 45, 75, 90.
60 looks to be the next,
yeah, I don't know.
but it's not on our street anyway.
Yeah.
It's not.
45, 75, 90. I can get gigabit service and still save like $18 a month.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, respect.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Get that Spectrum modem thrown out my window.
So she's on Frontier.
Oh, geez, Frontier DSL.
She's got Dish Snapper.
Well, and that's the other one.
$825 a month.
I have a chip. I have.
I'm sad, we're looking for a marketing assistant, so a young person who's looking for a job that might involve some door to door and putting up signs.
Well, don't feel bad. I got a neighbor that tells me every month that we're costing him $150 a month because he wants Dryden Fiber. And he's got, right now, he's got Frontier DSL and we're costing him $150 a month.
Larry.
I hear it at least twice a month.
And he's got fiber poking out of his driveway.
Sounds ripping me off and not serving me.
Anyway,
Good.
thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Minutes approval. It's after 8 o'clock. How did we get that far? Minutes approval for June 26th. There were some reviewed minutes sent out. So Joyce sent them out. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes?
I have one.
Yep.
So for the training budget, it said 2,000, but I was pretty sure we came up with 2,580. Do we need a resolution for that request?
Never hurts.
Okay.
Good.
Need one.
I didn't know if that was,
When's the budget?
oh yeah, when's the?
This plan would
budget?
cost
Yeah.
2580, right? Did
Yeah, in August.
Oh, end of August, okay.
what'd you say the amount was?
2580.
2580.
That was to account for the, I think the 3 people going to the main training and then the others to be able to go to the more.
Because it was like 300, it was 300 times 3 plus, or no, 600
700 times 3.
700 times 3.
Right.
$80 time for the ride.
Yeah.
Times 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's just, yeah.
So 2580 was that amount?
I'm okay with some.
Okay, any other changes to the minutes?
Just.
Put a fence up.
So the budgets, you'll do budget in August?
So let's finish the minutes thing. And then we'll do a resolution
Do a
on the
resolution,
training
okay.
budget. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds.
Any other changes on the minutes? Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Somebody want to move to approve the minutes?
I moved to.
Okay.
Approve the plans.
Bill moves to approve the minutes. Can somebody second it, please? Chris seconds. Any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Aye, okay. Frank, you're abstaining, you weren't here, right? So Frank abstained because he wasn't at that meeting. Okay, that takes care of that. So. Chris, go ahead. You want to propose a resolution that we ask the town board to increase the training budget to 2580, right?
Sure.
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 They should have read.
Sure. Okay.
Is that your motion?
No.
No.
What's the justification for it?
It was 700, the 3 to be able to go to the main conference, which
With
at
The main
700.
conference,
The New York State Planning Federation
Federation.
Conference,
Yeah.
right?
Which.
Well, no, it's the New York State Planning Federation, right? Not there's another one that's the Federation of Towns or something, right? Or something.
Association of Towns.
Association of Towns.
APA.
Yeah, this is New York State Planning Federation, NYPF.
So it'd give opportunities for planning board members to go to a current, more up-to-date training session. How would you say that? Because it is like cutting edge, you know?
Yeah.
So they would give them to go to that every 3 years. The 3-year
Roughly,
cycle,
yeah,
right?
if you think it's 3-year cycle, yeah.
3-year
roughly.
cycle.
If-
And then the other-
The idea is that we would be able to send 3 a year.
A year to the better training,
Right.
right? The other people would go to.
To the NYPF.
Local
And
training.
then $80 each for the remaining members for doing some kind of local training.
Yeah.
And that if fully utilized, if it's fully utilized, that comes out to 2580.
25.
So the motion is the town board is to request a budget of 2580 for training. Based on what Craig just said.
Whereas
Yeah, whereas the justification for
Right.
training is sending 3 people.
Honestly, I was thinking that it's low I mean, compared to other towns around us, for example, Lansing, each person has $5,000 for training or whatnot, so I think $2,500 for a group is even not enough, but.
Lansing gets paid. too.
Yeah.
I think it's paid.
I raise a resolution next.
They pay their planning.
But I think the training is really important, right?
Yeah.
So especially if we want to have new people coming on and, to support
Baby
that.
steps, baby steps.
Yeah, but
I think this would be huge because you could send 3 people to a better training.
I think it would be good to be able to send at least 3 people, yeah.
Yep.
Just like the PD. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so that's the motion. Chris moves it.
The motion is, Tony has.
Moves it.
9 seconds. Any other discussion on it? Okay, all in favor? Alright, that's unanimous.
You get all that?
You're gonna send me that?
Yes, that we'll send, yep, I'll send you that. So no zoning advisory group meeting on the 7th. That's been canceled. John is gonna send out a project update. report to everybody. Our next regular meeting is on August 28th. And I think we're adjourned.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.